Hello. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different from the usual content you'll see on this channel, and that is addressing the hardware side of gaming. In general, I do overviews of software and the like, but keep in mind that all of this software needs hardware to interact with it, and in this case we're talking about Logitech and their mice. Case in point, my daily driver is a Logitech G700, which I've been using for the past 6 years now, I believe, with really no trouble at all. It is not a perfect product by any means, but there are very few shortcomings given its price, and that is an interesting point, is that when you pay a higher price for a product, you expect a premium product in return. And by premium, generally what I'm thinking of is a good user experience and good performance. Logitech generally delivers this in spades, and it is the main reason why I choose them over less premium brands, especially brands that are very foreign. You could consider them knockoff brands, as a matter of fact, stuff like First from Asia, where you'll have questionable performance in a product, and generally the software of those products is lacking in support. If you go to their site, for example, a lot of them are rather sketchy, and you don't know if they're going to be around next year when you need to download drivers and stuff again. But at the same time, those mice are generally much cheaper, so when you're paying more, you expect more in return. I think it is a pretty fair, it's a pretty reasonable expectation, and up until recently, Logitech has been delivering this, like I said. Recently, however, and by recently I mean within the past 2 or so years, Logitech has moved over to really segregating their main brand of Logitech products from their gaming brand. And this is okay, generally speaking. When it came to my mouse, the G700, it moved over to a very specific gaming branded console. You could consider it, in some ways Logitech could be considered a little bit ostentatious now with the presentation of their gaming lineup. They went pretty much full out with the whole LED bling stuff, and I think this can turn off some people, but it's not really a big deal because you can always turn the lights off. So there is definitely a segregation between their consumer line and their gaming line. In this case, the mouse that I'm talking about was one that I purchased for a family member. And when you enjoy a product and you think they make good products, a certain brand, you will generally recommend their products to other people. And that was the case with the wireless M510. Now this is a full-size mouse, but at the same time it is wireless, and it is not it doesn't have nearly as many features as their gaming lineup does. But at the same time, it has a couple of buttons on the side of it, and to use those buttons for specific actions, you're going to need to download additional software for the mouse. On its own, Microsoft, it does a pretty good job of providing drivers for the Logitech mice. They can perform on a very base level, as you would expect for any average mouse, but to do those to access those advanced features, you're going to need to download additional software, and this is where I encountered a problem with Logitech. Now, there is an easy way to go about doing this, and that is simply by, once you're at their site, of course, most people, when they're looking for drivers and other software utilities, they will visit the website of the manufacturer, which is what I did here with Logitech. And like I said, the easy way to do this is to go to support and support plus downloads. However, this is not what I did. I went and actually just looked for the product under mice and keyboards, which at the same time, while it is maybe not quite as conventional, I think it is perfectly understandable, as a lot of manufacturers don't actually sell their products right on their store, unlike Logitech does. So there was Logitech is a little bit different setup, but at the same time, they should, in my opinion, supply links to the downloads for this mouse right on their store page, as it is, or as it were. So the problem here with this store page is, like I said, it doesn't actually include links to all the relevant downloads. If you look through this information that they provide here, they mention really only one download, and that is for the Unify software. Now, the Unify software only applies to the little dongle USB piece that fits into your computer, and Logitech has improved this over the years. their Bluetooth USB dongles used to project much further than they do now, which would lead to them getting broken off. But that is really something for another time, and they have improved that. And they also they've moved on to using this Unify little dongle piece. And the thing about Unify is you can use it to connect wirelessly multiple Logitech products and have them all use just that one Bluetooth plugin to access your computer. That does make things simpler, but at the same time it is not necessary to just use the mouse. So you'll see here there is a link to the unifying software. You can download it, learn more about it, and really nothing else. So at this point you might be thinking, well, just go to support, right? Support plus downloads. Is there really any reason those links aren't here on the store page? In additional features, technical specifications, nothing. We don't get it at all. So what I did in this case, and this resulted in me wasting about 30 minutes of my time, is first I downloaded the unifying software, installed that, tried to link the mouse to it, and as it turns out, since the mouse had been installed on a computer previous to this computer that I was attempting to install it on, it would refuse to link. There was a step in the software where it tells you to switch the mouse on in order to make it connect with the software, or for the software to recognize a connection between it and that unifying dongle that you plug into your computer, and that wasn't working. So right away you have an issue with consumer UI, or the consumer UX, the user experience. For somebody who maybe isn't as technologically savvy as I am, this would be rather discouraging to go through. Now, me personally, I don't give up easily, and eventually I got it to work by clicking the advanced settings in the Unify software and first unlinking the mouse before attempting to relink it. However, relinking it really didn't solve the problem, because once it was relinked, the software quit itself. So we had a linked product, but I still couldn't adjust those two web scrolling wheels on the buttons on the side, which was the primary objective of this exercise in the first place. So we have to move on. Now, I went back to this page. Now you might say, well, you're an idiot. You should have just gone to the software and support. Well, in general, my experience with support has been lackluster. Even for more premium products, it generally involves a good amount of wait time if you're going to submit a ticket or if you're going to have to post to forums. So I tend to shy away from that and really focus more on stuff you can do yourself, as much as possible, because that's pretty expedient as it goes. So I went back to this page and I looked around at stuff, and as you can see right here next to this little asterisk, which I wasn't sure where that was found, but upon further investigation I discovered it was under programmable controls. That's what the asterisk is in reference to. Now, in programmable controls, which is exactly what I was attempting to do, it says you can configure the controls to make them do exactly what you want, like switching applications, opening browser windows, or jump to full screen while watching videos. So yeah, and in this asterisk footnote thing here, which is above it for some reason, that's really unconventional, but it links to Logitech options. So what is Logitech options software? Well, it's a goofy little suite that apparently is complementary to the unifying software. Now, why they just didn't include it in the unifying software to begin with, I'm not sure. But right here we have the download for Logitech options, and once you download it, it installs. The installation stub is just called options, I believe, which is pretty dubious. What a generic name. You'd think they could come up with something a bit more specific, and like I said, you would think that Logitech options would just be downloaded along with the unifying software, because it is apparently sort of connected at the hip, as it were. If you actually start it up, you'll see that one of the buttons that you can click on to install something involves taking you back to the Unify software page to install that in addition. So apparently they rely quite heavily on each other, and yet you can install one without the other, which just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. In addition to this, if you take a look at what products this software claims to support. You can see right here, it supports the wireless mouse M510, which is this mouse right here, which I was looking at, which is the mouse that I needed software support for. So you'd think, well, it supports that mouse. Not true. Now, originally on the computer that I was attempting to install this software on was not connected to the internet, so it would just fail. It would say the M510, it didn't detect any mice, including the M510, which was, as I pointed out before, it was already linked and everything with the Unify software. Once I moved it over to an internet-connected computer, I got the following error, that it was not compatible with the M510 and that I would have to go and download Setpoint. Now, I wasn't sure. It's been a while since I've actually used Logitech software. I had to install it because, as I pointed out, I was using a gaming-branded mouse, so I was just working with their gaming-branded software. So it had been a while since I used their consumer brand software, and I didn't even know Logitech was still manufacturing their Setpoint line of software. As far as I was concerned, they had replaced it with the entire lineup of the Unify software. But apparently that wasn't the case. So now I have to, even though Logitech Options said on the product, if you will, that it was compatible, Logitech Options being this generically named software, that it was compatible with the M510, it in fact wasn't, and I had to go download Setpoint, which finally allowed me to do what I wanted to do to begin with, which was remap these two buttons on the side of the wireless mouse M510 from Logitech. So, in summary, I had to waste about 30 minutes of my time just running through this stuff to try to find out what exactly was wrong, and I am a fairly knowledgeable person when it comes to technology. I don't consider I'd consider myself up there. I'm on the upper end of that scale. So for somebody who isn't on the upper end of that scale, somebody who would really appreciate a very quality user experience, the kind of people that generally opt for Apple devices due to their simplicity, it's a very user-friendly product, and I think Logitech tries to go for that a lot. There is a lot of consumer confidence and love for the products that Logitech makes. They do make quality hardware, and generally the software to back that up is quality as well, but it seems to have slipped in recent years, or at least has become a little bit less intuitive. The actual functionality of the software is just as good as always, but when it comes to their site design, it is less intuitive to actually access that software, and I think for somebody who is less technologically inclined than I am, they might actually become so discouraged with it they would just give up, because you have 3 different products that for just a consumer grade mouse. You have Unify, you have Unify Options or Logitech Options, whatever they named that thing for some god-awful reason, and then you finally have Setpoint, and all of these 3 software options apply to one product. All of them allegedly apply to one product. As I pointed out, Logitech Options does not actually support the M510, despite it saying on the site that it does, but that's the problem. If you are really catering, if you want to be presenting a great UX, a great user experience for your consumer, which is what a quality, a product that you pay a premium for should deliver on, you need to unify all these different software products into one easy to install product and link it on your main store page so that anybody who even is just looking at the site can easily find it, click on it, download it, and be on their merry way. Instead of making people go to very specific portions of the site, making them download software that they say that Logitech says is compatible, but in fact isn't, and ultimately just wasting everybody's time and causing a whole bunch of grief and anxiety. As it turns out, I got the job done. Would somebody with less experience than me get the job done? Perhaps. But really, Logitech should step their game up in this case. There is no reason I feel that a product that, or a company that provides what is perceived to be a premium product should, or is allowed to really get away with this. It is detrimental to their brand, and it is not doing the consumer any favors either. Logitech, please look into consolidating your software line for the consumer lineup of mice that you have. That is really all I'm asking. It's not that complicated. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.